Okay, so we just watched a great video talking about artist, illustrator, movie director Tim Burton, and we're going to draw our own Tim Burton people today. So, on your sketch paper, you might want to just start with some different shapes. Maybe a square, a triangle. The key thing we talked about is Tim Burton's characters had big eyes. He said a lot of his were done with a circle, and then maybe you come down here and give it a square jaw, or start with a circle and you give it a triangle jaw. But on all of these, I'm going to give them really big eyes. They all said they kind of ran with a skinny kind of neck. Sometimes I think of, I don't know why, mares might have a big fat neck. So you can play on your sketch paper, sketch with some different kinds of necks that you might want to have. Their noses were little, like a little triangle with a curve. It could be a little J shape. Your ears, kind of a crooked C. And a lot of times, depending on what kind of person you do, your ears might get covered up by hair. Hair. Maybe it's a messy, I'm going to do some crazy hair out here. Simple pupil. And then whatever kind of mouth you wanted. Maybe it's going to have some long hair. But I like to kind of set that hair on my head and have some designs. That's a pretty happy. You can add eyelashes. And again, he said, what kind of eyebrows are you going to have?
Bushy.
You can do bushy, you can do skinny. So, again, boys and girls, there's not a right or wrong way to do this. You're just kind of making. Now, maybe this. And I'm going to draw some lines in there. Oh, maybe he's got a curly mustache. Maybe she's got really curly hair. And you always want to come down in front and make a line. So like when I did this hair, I did the line over my circle and I just made it with a bunch of swirls. To start on your final, again, think of what kind of shape you want. I'm drawing lightly to start with. Now, I am going to say, I wasn't really happy in that I couldn't get my eyes light enough. So I'm actually going to cut some eyes out and glue my eyes on so they're super white. And we're just doing a portrait, which means I really only need to do the head and shoulders. So I actually did a little bit more on this one than I meant to. Again, my hair, maybe I want it to have a bun. And then she's going to have some little curly wispies down below. I'm going to make my little triangle nose. She's just going to have a tiny mouth and then a chin line. So now I want to go in and I'm going to shade. And remember in the video it talked about where it's accented. So I'm going to shade under my eye. And when we shade, you're going to color with your pencil a little bit and then rub it with your finger. I want it to stand out, so I'm going to go all the way around my eye. I'm going to shade down here by my nose and up my nose. I'm going to make a few little lines on either side where my cheeks are and smooth it in. I'm going to shade down here by my chin. And then I'm going to shade down here underneath my neck where it's going to be darker. You can think about what kind of outfit she's wearing. I'm going to say I just watched Wednesday and I loved it. So you can think about some goth outfits, some Victorian outfits. They said stripes are a big part of Tim Burton's costuming. He likes to do stripes. When I do my hair, I do want to over-exaggerate some of these lines. And shading. Pick some places where you want it to be a little bit darker on your hair. And we are shading some hairlines where I know the hair, some wispies. When I'm all done, I can come back with my Sharpie and outline. And again, just a simple pupil. We're just outlining with our Sharpie the lines that you feel are important, not all of those lines. When you guys work on your final, you might want to make it again. I'd stay more on this side where it fills the whole page. And again, I want to make my eyes. I really like the shading I did on this one, but I think I need some bigger eyes. I would glue the eyes. Those are a little too big. So when you're sketching today, sketch a couple different ideas, and we're going to do our finals on black paper. Oh yeah, that makes it stand out so much more. Doing all white eyes. Then we have our Tim Burton-like drawing. Alrighty, so as we work and continue to work on our Thomas Hart Benton, some things you need to do as you think you are done. 1, your eyes need to be white, so you can either cut out some white eyes or you can color them in with a white colored pencil or Crayon. That is fine. I recommend just folding a piece of paper in half, drawing your circle, however big you need to do it, cut it and glue them on. Something I haven't done on this one is you might want to have your eyebrows. And again, we're looking at exaggeration of features. So once you've got it drawn, you really want to over-exaggerate where you're shading. You can't have too much shading. And again, you're just shading with your pencil, coloring a little bit of an area. If you're trying to think of places to shade, down here by the chin, where your cheeks are, and most definitely around your eyes. You don't want to see a lot of just the plain gray paper. Look at what a difference that is. Obviously down here underneath your neck are some other places. You can come in on your hair and add some shades in here as well. The biggest problem that I saw with some of the projects that people were working on today is they just didn't have enough detail. So you want to go back in and add see some places where you can go back and shade. If your head was small, like in this one, my head was small, so I needed to draw a body. And again, I'm going to come back in here. And this is a great example. I didn't have a lot of stuff going on in my hair. So then today, what I might want to do is draw some of those hair lines to at least give it some direction and fill up some of that empty space. If you've got clothes, put a pattern on the clothes. You're welcome to also come back in with white to kind of add some highlights wherever you think you might need a highlight. Might want to use an oil pastel, those don't show up. If you notice on this one, I had a lot of empty space in the background, so I wanted to go in and fill some of that extra space. It could be with lines. You could pretend like it's some creepy wallpaper. I loved, in one of the classes I had today, one of the little boys was looking up vintage clothing, vintage wallpaper to really put some thought into really creating a Tim Burton character. When you're all done, we need to make a creepy old frame for it. So to make my frame, I'm going to fold my paper in half. I'm going to fold my paper in half again. Just like when we were doing our other folding project for the Day of the Dead, we are not cutting on the fold. Don't cut on the fold. But you're going to draw some sort of crazy frame that you might want to draw. And then you're going to cut it out. You want to keep your design pretty close to the edge. And then I'm going to cut it out. Again, only on the edge, only on the edge, so that when I open it up, I kind of have one of those, kind of a fancy frame. Glue your portrait in the middle. And then I like to use the fat Sharpie to come back in and add some extra details to my frame. And again, oh my gosh, I love the internet. I love being able to Google all these things. Google old frames. Like if you've gone to the Nelson or been in a museum, you'll notice they had really ornate frames. So you can come up with some designs that you might want to put around them. Again, kind of symmetrical, whatever you do in one side, you want to do it on the other, and probably in all four. Since I'm using a dark paper, then I can come back with my white colored pencil and give it some highlights to really make it pop out. Notice I kind of keep the highlights all going down on the same side. As you can see what I did on this one. I never glued my portrait on there. Glue it on. There you go. There are my Tim Burton crazy portraits.